like cashier. Get the money like a cashier. Customer, clientele. I was broke, that was last year. Getting money like cashier. Get the money like a cashier. Benjamin, nothing less. I was broke, that was last year. Don't change on me. I never switched up. Been down since day one. Stay social. People change on me. I never switched up.
Hey, Dope Black Thoughts live in the building.
How we doing today?
Yeah, what's up? Marcus is right here with you.
Kevin.
I'm Stefania.
Paperboy in the house. Good evening.
Yeah, so we're missing one, but you know, it is what it is. We just gonna call out every person that misses.
Right.
See, that's what I'm talking about. The shade is creeping in. So
I don't know what's going on.
So Hashim is absent today. This is an unexcused absence.
Need some kind of note from his parent.
Yeah.
I think that's how it works.
Hashim, you already missed. That's all we can say.
It's better than what I got. He pointed at my empty chair. Kevin's not sitting here.
Right.
But yeah,
well, if you pop on, he pop on. Well, you know what? There is so much going on. I think it would be appropriate to take a brief moment of silence for those people in Colorado. You know that
in Boulder
we had another shooting, and this is ridiculous. So, as you all know, we had Columbine. Everybody knows about Columbine. Then in 2012, we had Aurora Theater. We all live in Aurora. Everyone knows about that. And now we got Boulder. So I don't know what to say.
Let's give it a moment of silence, though. Let's do that.
And with that, thank y'all. You know, to those 10 victims, our hearts go out to all of you. This is unbelievable. I was on Twitter, and one of the young ladies, she just didn't know what to do. And Twitter is an outlet for folks, and she just got on there and said, "My father was murdered yesterday," and she was heartbroken. But she was happy that he was able to walk her down the aisle I think it was just a couple months before. So crazy. I don't know what to say. I don't know.
Yeah, at some point in time, we are at a loss of words. We just can't keep repeating ourselves or asking for the same things. There's nothing that we can say. You said earlier, our hearts go out to them, but over and above that, addressing legislation, which 2 days before, how long was it before this happened that they passed the bill to change the gun laws, but a judge went against it. He struck it down.
I think it was 4 days after the bill or the ordinance was struck down. This occurred. I think the person bought the gun, I don't know, 6 days before or something. I don't know.
6 days before.
I don't know.
Do you guys find it coincidental? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think there's two different accounts. One says 6 days before, and then I think somebody else, I saw another report that said he bought it like the day before and then showed up the next day at the King Soopers. So there's conflicting accounts out there as to how long he'd had the gun, but definitely got it and used it immediately.
Yep.
Yeah. What I keep finding surprising is I keep taking these people, these mass shooters that are killing, people by the handful and by the dozen. They're catching them with zero incidents, no injuries. They're not unloading magazines into them, and they come out unscathed. In this case, I don't think he got Burger King, but made it to his destination safely after murdering so many people. I'm not saying that I want him necessarily, executed on the spot, but I'm just saying that it's kind of, to me, coming from the land of Sandra Bland, and living in the land of Elijah McClain, it's just hard to swallow, that we can do this. It's possible to do this. So if I transpose, a AR-15 and a mass shooting with walking peacefully down the street with a face mask and a bag with tea, it may have been a different outcome, based on some other factor besides how much of a crime was committed. It appears to be that we have a problem with our policing system, and it keeps coming out further and further. And also the gun legislation. I think it was like 93% of Americans were okay with common sense gun regulations such as universal background checks and whatnot. Even a slight majority of Republicans, but we're still having this debate every time there's a mass shooting, and they want to call it taking away your guns. Like, no, just like let's fill out some paperwork. Let's do some checks like you do when you buy a car or when you get a high-paying job or when you join the military or so many other things where you have to be responsible. There's a way to help mitigate this, not stop it, but to help mitigate.
Here's how you want to put this in context. They had, when this shooting began, or in the course of trying to figure out who the shooter was, 9 ambulances outside of the King Soopers. Only one of them got used. Out of all everyone that was shot, every single person that was shot died. The shooter was the only one that got to leave in an ambulance. Everyone else left in a body bag. Pretty sad when we think about how we take care of shooters, white shooters. And though we look at his name and want to attribute that to being Muslim or someone of color, on appearance, which is what we are all judged by. You can see that we're Black from across the street. On appearance, he's taken in like he's a white man in custody. And the gun that he used was an AR-556 pistol, which put out bullets that are designed that when they enter the body, they do so much damage that you die.
Yeah.
It wasn't a pistol. That was a rifle. It was and the ammunition 5.56 or 223. Yeah, these rounds are designed to have high impact, and they're designed to destroy the inside of your body. There's really no other way to put it.
Right.
That's what
it's called a pistol, but it looks like a rifle. But it's called a pistol, a Ruger AR.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's unfortunate. I didn't see what the length of the barrel was, but yeah, this is ridiculous. He was walked out. Looked like he was injured, but he was walked out in handcuffs, taken to an ambulance, went to the hospital, was treated. Now he's been charged with 10 counts of murder.
Yeah.
Well, it's another tragedy, in America with such responsive and responsible legislators. And I'm thinking about at the federal level. I know that we've made a lot of action in Colorado. We've taken steps, but nationally speaking, too many of the majority of our Republicans and too many Democrats are receiving way too much money from the NRA for us to expect anything out of them. And this sort of legislation, and look, I'm gonna go ahead and drag in Mayor Kaufman into it, thinking about campaign finance reform. Too many strings are attached to these dollars, so when people have a major tragedy, we know what to do right now. Everyone in America agrees, not everyone, but the mass majority of Americans agree. Here's the next steps, right? And then you're going to have people, maybe a Joe Manchin or I don't know. I don't want to start bashing individuals, but obviously there's motivations behind doing some of the things that they're doing or not doing some of the things that they won't do when the majority of Americans support it. So if we were to just look at the numbers, we would have universal background checks yesterday.
True.
One
second. I'm interested. Carter's awfully quiet.
Two things. And Marcus, you missed one. Don't forget Arapahoe High School.
That's right. That's right.
I have been Colorado adjacent since what? I was 18, 19 years old. And since 99, there have been at least 4 of these. And at a certain point, we are going to have to admit this is who we are. We are going to have to admit that we as a society have decided this is who we are. We can argue about a pistol grip and whether or not it was a pistol. We can play the legal game. That is a weapon of destruction. It has no place in a society unless a society decides we want it here. And I will not point fingers today, we have decided as a society to allow that into our community. And 99, 2012, 2013, and now, because we have decided that is who we are, we can't be surprised when we act like who we are. I'm not going to get mad. And I understand that, especially being here in Aurora, how kind of we're doing the apples to, well, look what happens to us. Look what happens to us. I'm more afraid of, look at our society. Look what we're giving our children. And how do I apologize to my children for this? This is what we're giving them. Schools, movie theaters, supermarkets. This is the gift. This is the legacy that we are giving our children. I'm not going to point fingers other than at myself and say we as a society owe an apology to our children for what we've given them and what we have decided we are going to accept as a society. That's all.
Well, at the same token, I also need to just call out Atlanta. I know that's a little further away from us, but all those victims were sought after. They were sought after. They were purposely sought after because they were Asian. Let's just be real. That's what it was. So we want to call that out too. There ain't no excuse.
Agreed. He saw in Atlanta, they were sought after. There were 2 protected classes that were at risk there, women and race, gender and race. And the shooter there hit both of them.
Are we more upset with the shooter? Are we more upset with the shooter or with the fact that his prejudices and whatever was going on in his head, he has access to act on that hate?
Yeah.
Are we okay with that as a society? There's hate everywhere, but we have made it to the point where as a society, you can act on that hate in the ultimate act.
Now I'm going to sound like one of these far right gun nuts when I say, even if they don't have guns, they're going to figure out how to do it. As you've seen in Europe, they'll drive those vans into crowds over and over again. A van in a crowd can be very effective, more effective than an AR before someone stops you in some cases. If they're strategic, as someone that has driven tractor trailers, I know what it will look like if I were to drive a tractor trailer into a highly populated area. What kind of carnage that could wreak. And so when I think about being able to act out your hatred, the only thing I can think about is, are we as a society responsibly doing our best to mitigate the ability to act it out? I don't want to take away all abilities to create carnage completely, because that means I wouldn't be able to defend myself in the most literal of terms. I'm not saying I need a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher or a tank, but as a black man that doesn't feel as safe calling the police as other people may feel when they call the police, I would like to have some sort of mechanism to protect my family, my home, and my body, right? And my belongings. But at the same time, I know I can take any weapon of defense and use that as a weapon of aggression, right? So I mean, it's just the mitigation. I think if we could at least say that we started down the right pathway by trying to mitigate the wrongful use of it, such as it's illegal to drunk drive. We have checkpoints. There are people that will stop you and make you blow in a breathalyzer if they suspect that you may be driving while drunk. What are we doing for something like that when it comes to these weapons?
So being a gun owner for over 20 years, that was my 21st birthday gift to myself. Being trained, like I was NRA certified. I was a member of NRA years ago. And being someone that has had to use a gun to defend their own life, I guess, gosh, I'm so sorry. I'm kind of all over everywhere, right? And being a victim of the criminal justice system of when that happened, and realizing the laws don't apply the same to me as it does to anyone else. Like I went from victim to defendant, and I acted within the law. I was certified to have my gun. Like I had my concealed weapons permit. I was a marksman trained, right, with a firearm. I used my gun when there was no other option and the law turned against me, right? But I still believe that gun ownership should be a thing. And I am a blue Democrat, left-leaning Democrat. And I still believe that guns should be there. But I believe that there should be some precautions there as well, too. There should be training that is required for people to have a gun. And that should be common sense training. There should also be some type of mental health type of background check as well. Like, what is wrong with that? Like, I can't drive. I have to go through all these measurements to drive, right? And if I get a ticket, I have to go back through and test again to get my driver's license back. There's all these other responsibilities that are placed upon things. Why is it that we don't place these responsibilities on people that have a gun? I should be required to have insurance to own a gun. I have to have insurance to own my vehicle, right? And I think I've only ever been in one vehicle that was my fault. I've been in another one that I got the ticket for because she lied on me. But I've only been in one that was my fault. But I have insurance, right? And so why isn't that same requirement put for gun people? And Michael, to talk about your thing, the question you brought up, I'm mad at it all. Right? I'm mad at the fact that he went out and he did these types of things, that he targeted the Asian community, that he targeted women. Oh, sorry ass punk. I'm sorry, I messed up. But I'm mad at it all. I'm mad at the fact that there is not, show me a time, one time in history when white supremacy has ever been punished to the extent that the law allows for it to be punished. I'm lost. I don't see that, right? So when society allows these people to go out and continue to behave in such a way, yeah, they don't need a gun to carry this out. We've seen them build bombs. We've seen them do knifings. We've seen them use automobiles and kill people. Cool. Like, no one is saying like alleviate everything, because you can't alleviate everything unless you put people in a comatose state. What you can do is start punishing bad behavior with the laws that are there. Period. That hasn't happened yet.
There's one case where it has, I feel, in history, and that's the McVeigh, the Oklahoma City bombing. It's the only one that comes to mind for me.
But was that white supremacy or was that terrorism? Like,
is there a difference?
Yes. So they intersect and they overlap, right?
They do overlap.
I don't feel that his intent was actually people that did not look like him. I think his intent was striking out against the government. Now, I might be wrong. I'm open to new facts.
But there are many buildings that he could have targeted. Which one did he target?
No, he was after a government building. He was after
a government building that had a lot of African Americans in there and a lot of children with the daycare attached to it for a reason.
Mm-hmm. You know, Lord, please don't ever hold this against me. Like, I am not trying to ever defend bad behavior, and I'm damn sure not trying to defend bad white supremacist behavior. I think those things happen to be a coincidence.
Good point, Brittany.
I don't know. Like, I'm open to new set of facts out there that would say something different. Cool. But on him, I just think he was just pure anti-American, right? And it just happened to be a thing. I could be wrong, but outside, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't. They didn't even punish that boy that hit the white girl. That was at the and I'm so sorry, Amber, I believe was her first name. That hit the white woman at the protest in in Charlottesville.
Right.
What is his punishment?
Right.
And I'm anti-death penalty, but is North Carolina a fry 'em up state?
Right?
Yeah.
Georgia is.
So my thing is, what has happened to him?
Yeah. Nothing.
No news, bad news in this instance.
Wow.
Well, that was my question. And in order to protect all those rights, there has to be not loopholes. This is going to continue to happen. This is going to continue to happen. I mean, we have the politician or the populace has the political will to make this not happen.
Yeah.
And if I'm wrong, help me. But I don't see, like I said, we went through the 4 times in Colorado that we've gone through this. And if the paper's right, he bought it between 48 and 24 hours before he used it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So is this just us coming to terms with the type of society we're going to have to live in?
I mean, until we start passing common sense legislation, such as a cool-off period.
I don't want to be that guy today, but same conversation. I wasn't here physically in Colorado in '99, but I'm sure they just had that same conversation. I know I was here during the Roar City, the theater. I know I was here, Arapahoe High School. What's left?
Oh, there's plenty left. I mean, you remember when it was almost once a week there was a mass shooting in America for a while. I mean, you get the wrong. First of all, the fish rots from the head down. We know that. Leadership.
No. Stop. We are a populace. We are a populace.
Very true.
We need to Okay. Sorry.
That's true. But I also believe that the most powerful person in your country exhibiting a certain example can change the way certain people feel like they're enabled or emboldened to act. I feel like so I like to put up this, and you may want to Google it. Google America First KKK. America First was literally Trump's original motto. It was literally founded by the Ku Klux Klan. There are pictures that you can find online of Ku Klux Klan members holding up signs that say America First because they were protesting us going into the World War II to support the Jews. Right? So this is a little bit before Trump was born, but not very much before Trump was born. This was the American sentiment in those days. We had a very strong anti-Semitic contention of our society in America at that point in time. It became unpopular to be anti-Semitic So that fell under the wayside. As ultra right wing groups and white supremacy became more prevalent, and Trump came into power, and then he started echoing these tropes that were said and founded by white supremacist, anti-Semitic terrorist groups such as the Ku Klux Klan with America First. It may have seemed brand new and just another campaign slogan, but it was historically calling forth all the white supremacist terrorist people and people that are aligned with them to come forward and, hey, feel emboldened. The most powerful person in the country feels like you. And to go further, right around that time, white supremacy was going around the world. The Golden Dawn Party in Greece, I believe, they're a Nazi party.
Do we know? And I thought the same thing when you guys did. This guy wasn't a white supremacist, was he? He was just mentally ill with the access to one of the most powerful weapons, one of the most powerful handheld weapons that we create. That's not it wasn't white supremacy. I'm sorry, I'll let you finish your point.
I don't know how mentally ill old buddy is though. He may be a little something, but
his sister said he is. His sister said he's mentally ill.
Okay.
And they've given examples.
But is he certified? Is he certified? Is there a medical what's it called? Help me out, Stefan. A declaration or
diagnosis?
Medical diagnosis. Thank you, Kevin. Right on, school board.
No, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. But all I'm saying is this is the coat, this is the veneer that happens. He's mentally ill. Racism is a sickness. Stop.
No. We're talking about Colorado, mentally ill. We all thought he was blank. He wasn't.
Thought he was what?
White supremacist.
Because he doesn't have a card? Because he doesn't have a membership to a white supremacy organization?
But here's the thing, though.
Okay.
He didn't speak up about minorities.
He didn't. He was in Boulder.
Right. So it's not like that is part of
the You can confuse all you want.
I can what?
Go ahead, Stefania.
I'm sorry.
That's not a part of the equation on this particular shooting. So he shot up Boulder, which is, some would argue, is one of the whitest cities in anywhere. But, it's a nice, peaceful city. I went to school in Boulder. I love Boulder. It really was like its own little, I heard one of the members in the stores, our victims in the store, describe it as its own little bubble. It's a great community up there. It's beautiful. It's peaceful. Half the day on Fridays, people are called off from work so they can go sit in the park. It's a really nice place. He shot up this that had nothing to do with race. This one didn't. So when we talk about race, I do agree that he was brought out and pampered and put into an ambulance, and they were concerned for his leg versus if he were a man of color. But if we keep playing that if you were a man of color game, where does that get us? We are still in the same boat, and I agree. I see Michael's point. We are still in the same problem where we have to ask ourselves, is this the type of society that we now will have to deal with? Because we refuse, we stand on such opposite sides on trying to come together with some sort of legislation that we can't even come to the table. Lauren Boebert is out there tweeting incorrect I know I have to bring up her name again. Everybody, you just want to hit your head, but she's out there tweeting incorrect stats about the number of people who die from gun violence, and saying that people are kicked and hit and used hammers are used more often than guns. Wrong, Lauren. Please come on the show and talk to us. We'd like to find out where your mind is, because the stats are that 13,000 people have died from gun violence versus 600 from hammers. So when we talk about being able to come together for legislation on gun violence, let's do it in the correct fashion, and maybe we can get something done.
And let's talk to April Anderson Odell's point. Let's make sure that people with mental illness are not targeted here. Most folks with mental illness are not violent. I have a family that is rife with mental illness. Sometimes I suffer from it. Sometimes I get depressed, and sometimes it gets deep, right? And I don't go through here when I'm at my lowest points. I don't become violent and lash out. I don't, I have family members that are suffering from a lot of stuff, and none of them are hiding behind that and getting crimes, massive crimes and violence excused. Now there are people that lash out, from time to time, and they're in delirious states. Some of them are schizophrenic. They don't even see correctly. They're hearing voices that are not actually there. I don't think this person was to that point. So I just want to put both of those things out there.
And maybe I didn't articulate it as well as I should have. So I want to thank Stefania. I'm not blaming the mental illness at all. It's the access to the firearm that is the issue. And we have decided that we are going to allow that access on a regular basis, period. I mean,
but speak to that catch-22 that Hashim brought forward, because
but that's part of us saying, okay, dog it, these are my rights, and my rights will be protected, period. The flip side to that is there is access to firearms. Right now, how long would it take each one of us to go out and buy the exact same weapon that he used?
But here's the thing, and I agree with the person who sent in the comment. Her point is that mental illness doesn't give people, lots of people suffer from mental illness and they don't crack under pressure like that. But we've given them, because of the way they're punished, we've given them an out. The man in Atlanta, his out is I had a sexual addiction, I have a mental illness. When does it stop? When we continue to allow them to take out mass numbers of people and claim I have a mental illness.
Well, let me just pop in real quickly, because we know that's BS. Because think of Anthony Weiner, or Weiner, what do you want to call him? Remember, he used sexual addiction. I got a problem. I'm a sick man. Well, the DSM at one point in time did have sexual addiction as
they did take it off.
Then they took it out because there's no proof. No proof of it. It's nonsense.
Homosexuality was a part of the DSM as well, too.
I thought your sex addiction was part of it, Najim.
No.
But see, now you're talking about people who are rational. Those people don't know that law has changed, but they're still trying to claim it. They're trying to claim it as a pass. That was the first thing out of his mouth, as a pass after he did his dirty deed.
And that is not where I'm at all. Mine is, despite, regardless of his hatred of whom, pick a topic, pick a person, pick a race, pick a color, he has access, period. The regardless of whether or not his mental illness or a mental illness makes you docile or hateful, you have access. And our society has said that is going to be a part of what our society going forward. That is going to happen. And if these people, and I hate saying it that way, if we have this access, of course, we are going to use it.
Mm.
Yeah, that's why I don't trust too many people, man. Because people are flawed, people are complex, and some people do not have anyone else's best interest at heart. That's just the facts of it, and we are just as messy as it looks. But America is uniquely more violent, and I think it may have something to do with our political structure empowering and emboldening the worst amongst us. I think there is something to be said about saying, Mike, about saying, look, this is the society that we're going to live in, versus focusing more on solutions. And the only solution we have, because we can't mind control these people, and I don't think taking away everybody's guns is necessarily a solution. I think it would be a solution of sorts, but it would cause such an uproar that I think there would be some sort of civil war type of activity if you were to go around and try to take people's guns. If you were to go like an Australia route and say, hey, we're going to do a massive gun buyback, that you could do that. I don't think there would be too many horrible ramifications, but that contingent within society is still going to be there. I think we have to start leading the society from the top down with people that are altruistic and are not white supremacists, are not violent, not saying, hey, I wish you would beat that guy up and I'll pay your medical bills. not quoting, literally quoting Ku Klux Klan chants and posters in their presidential rally and getting billions upon billions of dollars of free advertising from all our major media channels. That I think that helps society. So I think we're on the right path, and this legislation is the next step. You keep doing this legislation, then tidy it up a little bit next cycle, and then go a little bit further. Moms Demand Action just started a little while ago. They're getting more traction. All these people, we're taking these steps. It can't be it's all or nothing,
But so the thing that burns me is the fact that there's all this issue about gun rights are my right. It's my right to own a gun. You can't take away my right, but we can take away your voting right.
Right.
That part.
Interesting. That blows my mind. The fact that, we shouldn't have background checks for people to have guns and like, let me be clear when I say this. Having a mental illness does not automatically qualify you to be violent or to cause harm. It doesn't, period. However, there are some things and there's some levels. It's a spectrum. Mental illness is a spectrum. And where you fall on that spectrum, there are things that you should not be able to have. And I don't make that diagnosis like that should be just somebody certified and trained to do that. But that's period. That's point blank. But the fact that if I have a medical marijuana card, guess who can't have a concealed weapons permit? I don't even know if I can have a gun if I have a marijuana card, a legal, medical marijuana card.
Medical.
I did not know that.
That's crazy. But I can go out and buy marijuana right now and still have my gun. I just can't be high with my gun in my possession. But yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's a conundrum right there.
I did not know that either. That's
check this comment.
Little steps have been promised for years.
Yes. And with these little steps, Sandy Hook. With these little steps, and I forget the AME church, right? Like with these little steps.
Florida.
Yeah, like all incrementalism is going to cause more people to get killed. The fact that we have the data to show that when the Brady Bill was enacted, these situations happen less. Like, I just don't get it. I mean, like, maybe we should increase the taxes on guns and ammunition the same way that we increase the taxes on liquor and cigarettes and cannabis. To
your point, I like the insurance part. I've had as a teenager, I had my license taken away from me for having too many points on my license.
As an adult, I had my license taken away from me for having 20 points on my license.
Hey, look, like Chris Rock said, maybe don't increase the price of guns, increase the price of the bullets. If you got to pay $5,000 for a bullet, you're going to really think about who you shoot.
Or they'll go out and start making their own bullets, but nonetheless.
Which they do already.
Yeah. But, and I hate the argument of, these laws only stop bad guys from getting a gun. I'm like, whoa, everybody's a good guy until they're not anymore. Right. Stop that. Stop all that stuff. Stop it.
That's true. There was recently in social media the three people that died in the snowstorm shoveling snow.
God, yes.
Did you see it? So sad. I mean, that just breaks my heart. But like you said, Hashim, neighbors, you're a good guy until you aren't. What caused that?
True that.
And that was all over words. Words again.
But we're human animals. We're not magically different beings. We are highly advanced apes with less hair on our body in some cases, not even in all cases.
You call me a monkey?
No, nobody knows what lurks in the hearts of man.
Well, I think we do. I think the problem is that we do know what lurks in the heart of man.
No,
murder,
you don't.
Racism, hatred, also love, peace, compassion.
You don't know where anybody else is on the spectrum. And to say that everyone believes and acts like you is pure narcissism.
No, I'm saying the exact opposite. I'm saying the exact opposite.
On the top row. Ha!
No, I'm naming things that I don't think, also, and that we see on a regular basis. We just see things on opposite ends of the spectrum at all times from the same species. We're all the same species. There's no difference between any of us. And everything that we see in white supremacy, we've seen black people that have said the same things. Like it's all in us. It's in all of us. So I think we, as responsible members of society, have to start focusing on this legislation. That's why we are also involved in the body politic, and that's the way to move forward. Is hopefully democracy will be on our side, and we can stop this gerrymandering. We can get these influences of NRA. We can get these campaign finance reforms put in here, no matter what our mayor says when he sues our own city. I'm bringing it back up, Mayor Kaufman, welcome to come on the show.
There it is.
Well, just real quick. Shout out to the body politic and us changing the world and the revolution. Remember, we just had Representative Wiseman on talking about the incremental step, the incremental step of changing felony murder from an F1 to an F2, and the amount of people who have come out against that, fighting like dogs on the Senate floor for the incremental step of turning something from you go away forever to you go away for 40, 50 years, which is forever. I mean,
an archaic law that has been abolished in most other countries. The incremental step that we took to change it.
And this is the fight we're having. This is the fight we're having, and we're talking about. Be quiet.
Don't be quiet.
That's why we're here.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Y'all ain't listening to me.
Come on, finish your point.
Y'all don't hear me though. Somebody hit the organ.
Right.
Come on, preach.
Well, I do want to say that two things. I don't know if we brought that up last week. It got out of committee. It's on the floor. I don't know if, and Stefan, you can probably speak to how far it got to it's on the Senate floor now. It got out of the Judiciary Committee. It's on the Senate floor.
Correct.
I will say there were a couple of our district attorneys that we know were vehemently against it.
Yes.
Just people out there in the community.
Ooh.
Several district attorneys. Beth McCann said she was against it. She testified. District Attorney 17 testified. They did great testimonies. They had
the second, the first, the 17th. There's another big one that was totally in favor of keeping it. There's another big one. There's this one
that we're in, 18 maybe? Hugely in favor of keeping it.
Wait. John Kellner is in favor of keeping. Hold up. I didn't hear the words correctly. John Kellner is in favor of keeping felony murder.
Yes, as an F1 life, LWOP. So if y'all don't know what LWOP is, life without the ability of parole for 15, 16-year-olds. We've changed it to be a maximum of 40, but LWOP and let's be understood here. There was someone who sat on the jury for somebody that was being charged with felony murder who testified in favor of this law because she herself was traumatized once she learned that after saying that the person that she was on the jury for was guilty, that was an automatic life sentence without parole. Traumatized to the fact that she had to go to therapy because the person that she was sentencing was a juvenile. And the person that she was sentencing was not the shooter or the killer. It was a person who had minimal contact, but was still charged with felony murder.
Marcus can speak to this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Jurors don't know the consequences of the trial.
They don't know that it carries a life sentence for somebody who just let somebody else borrow their keys.
So, John Kellner, who ran on this whole thing about being white woke. What did the corny dude say? Let me stop because I live in the 18th and I know how vindictive they can be.
Oh, wait, hold on. I thought you were done. Hold on.
I should probably excuse myself. Right.
So,
I
but
should
he said, but
I
no.
should do the same, paper boy.
Hold on. I'll flip my switch. I'll put on my respectability politics.
Friend of the show.
I ain't the show. Ain't my friend. But he made a comment, something about like being cognitive of things that are going on, changing, being more community focused and all this type of stuff. Like these are the lies that he was saying when he was running against Amy Patton. And I only say they're a lie because when you don't understand systemic racism and you stand behind something like felony murder, and we know that this data is there, that who this hits the most, then you don't get it. And it was a lie. And for those watching, don't come up out here and be like, I vehemently, categorically deny that that's even true, whatever. Because if George Brockler, if Carol Chambers, if everyone that came before him had collected the data, if they had collected the specific data of how they prosecute, who gets what type of charges, then we would know for sure. But because this is how white supremacy works, white supremacy doesn't believe in collecting the data, right? Because white supremacy is not really stupid, right? It understands that once there's data, now we got a problem because it proves and it exposes what we're doing, right? So, John, prove yourself to be new to me. I have some hot sauce to go eat some crow pie. Start collecting the data.
Hey,
I will eat that crow pie on air and all my social media sites.
I believe they have a social liaison out of the 18th position.
Oh, yes, that was Aurora, and I forget her last name, but she used to work for Mike Kaufman. Yeah, she used to work for Mike Kaufman. Mike Kaufman, the racist. Mike Kaufman, the Islamophobic. Mike Kaufman, and I say he's a racist because he's a birther, right? Let's understand that. I'm gonna call these things as they are. She used to work for him, so she's coming out of that. It's that whole vein. Let me tell you something right quick. Just because you pick up some trash out the toilet and you wash it off does not mean that you can put it on my plate to eat. Period. And that is Hashim Coates' words. Period. Show yourself to be different. Period.
If y'all want the receipts, go to the last district attorney candidate forum that Colorado Criminal Justice Reform Coalition held, ccjrc.org. And matter of fact, it might be ccjrc4action.org or something like that. Google that and look at the last candidate debate that they held before election day, this last past election day, and listen to how progressive Mr. Kellner was. Listen to how woke and how much he got it. And he gets it, like he understands the plight of people of color, black people in this judicial system. He's going to make all these changes and he gets something rolling across his desk. Can he make a change to this felony murder rule? Oh, no, I'm not changing that, but it hits black people the hardest. What? I'm going to do this thing exactly the way it was handed to me before. Is he really going to make those changes based on what he said before he was elected? I don't know. Also, if you're on Facebook, if you're a friend of mine, you're a friend of my partner Katz, on Facebook, you heard about the racist incident we had happen to us with our district attorney in the building in earshot. I have a photograph, a selfie of it happening with him right there in it, right? And I'm telling you, he was silent when racism was screaming across the room, telling a black woman to eat at the back of a restaurant. I have receipts.
So I'm just going to pin that and jump in right quick. So silence is complicit. That's what we always say, right? But Kevin, hold on. There's a narrative in these streets that's saying, no, that's not how it happened, right? Like they were setting up for the event and they were asking everybody to move.
Oh, really?
Listen. I can't confirm that. Look, all I'm confirming, and Marcus and Michael will say this is hearsay because it is, right? But this is what I heard when I heard someone talk about the issue and try to refute what had happened to Kat, and I'm like,
hey,
okay.
He said,
"What? Let me tell you something. If I tell everyone in a restaurant to move, I don't say move or I'm calling the cops. I also don't actually call the police when they say I'll take a to-go bag and I'll leave. Because an armed officer came up to me with a gun and 3 extra magazines on his hip, and he also questioned another black man in the parking lot that was sitting there eating his food. I watched the body cam. So like that doesn't sound like I'm just asking people to move, you know what I'm saying? And it's not nothing about you, Hashim. You know what I'm saying? Obviously.
No. I dig it. I dig.
Really
hold on. I dig it, and I recognize the pain and the emotional response. I do. From knowing you, I recognize it. From similar stuff happening to me, I recognize it. But I just want to say this, not to even. I'm not discounting any of that. I need people to understand the history of racism, right? All of those things could have happened, right? Both things could have happened. But the thing on the white excuse side happened to cover up the bad deeds. I didn't do that. I just did this. How many times have we heard that type of excuse deployed when somebody's called out for being racist? Oh my God. Like it happens. It happens so often that we just keep on going like it's normal. So
jump into Mike's and Marcus's shoes real quick. The lady that said it resigned the next day. That's some sort of recognition of guilt, right? That's some sort of recognition of guilt.
Here's the thing: we have a responsibility to call it out when we see it. We have a responsibility as a people to make sure that it ceases and stops, and so we have to call it out when we see it. But the people who are doing it, you have the opportunity to learn, to change, and to grow. And I agree with you, Hashim. Kellner, if that's what you ran on, you have so many opportunities to show us that you were going to be a man of your word. Be a man of your word. You'll have the support of the people behind you.
Which word? Which word? Was it his private word to people who like to mutilate and molest bed sheets, or was it his public word? But you got it. Said, wait a minute.
Hey, y'all just turned your cameras back on too.
And I should be the one turning it off.
But listen, and you know what? And let's talk about that a little bit. All these words are coming out of my mouth, but because of the association, this is how white supremacy works too. Anyone associated with me in these words, and I apologize right now because, like, damn it, I realize how it happens. You will be burdened for it. You will be hit for it by association. And that, like, it makes me swell up with anger. And I get so pissed about it because it's like, if we're silent, you kill us.
Right.
If we speak out, you kill us. Like, there's nothing that we can do. And so I think about Zora Neale Hurston's quote, and you know, I'm P. Diddy of the quotes. I always remember the context. I just mess up the wording. I choose not to be silent about my pain, because when it kills me, they will say that I enjoyed it. So that's why I always speak up. Right. That's why I always say, like, no, you will hear it out of my mouth. I'm here for all the smoke publicly.
Yeah,
we're going to have it out so that the facts can be there publicly, so that you can go back and use the sense that God gave a pissant and listen to what I said, to read what I said, because I'm standing by it. Because the thing is, silence has never protected us.
Right.
Audre Lorde.
Stop operating out of fear. And here's the amazing thing about 2021. The revolution is being televised. The receipts are out there. Yeah. Everybody can read them now. Whether it's, like you said, Hashim, whether it was a private conversation or a conversation in public, the receipts are there and they will come out.
Yep. And something's a brewing in that office, because remember how I was talking before about how George Brockler was like, oh yeah, I'll come on the show, blah, 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 blah. I have been reaching out. He has stopped responding to my text messages. Right? Like, so there's something a brewing. I don't know what it is. Who knows? Say what?
Will he change his phone number?
No.
Do you want me to call him?
Yeah, be like, yo, Hashim's trying to reach you, man. Tell him.
But look, we got about 4.5 minutes left. Let's get some dope black thoughts out there, because I mean, you know, this started off, it started and it's ending serious. This is all serious stuff. But our hearts are heavy. And I'll also throw out there that we got a little gut check on the school board meeting the other day, because we didn't respond in a very timely manner in response to the mass shooting involving the Asian community. And personally myself, I have probably over a dozen really good friends from junior high and high school that are Asian, first generation American and whatnot, and actually went back to Asia with some of them for a wedding. And it hit me in the gut so hard. It was like, yeah, if this was a bunch of black people being shot, I would have been all up on my show talking about it. And so just taking those gut checks, those reality checks, and checking trying my best to check my bias and whatnot. Just putting that out there that I'm willing to accept culpability of whatever I have contributed to this atmosphere, of this environment. That's just kind of my dope black thought, that no matter how much we think we're a part of the struggle, sometimes we're part of the problem too. Even if it's in just a little minuscule way, I'm standing in solidarity with our Asian brothers and sisters, because they don't have the exact same experience that black people have, but they have an experience too.
There you go.
Well,
that was mine. That was just me.
Yeah. So I almost had one, but I'm an active listener. Is that kind of never mind. No black thoughts. Be the change that you want to see, right? I'm quoting the racist Mahatma Gandhi. And he was. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm just ashamed. I'm just going to be me. I can always only be me. That's it. But be the change that you want to see. And understand that we all have some dis to our function, right? So afford people space and grace to grow, and only come down with the adjustment if they show that they are not willing to change. And yeah.
I'll put mine out there really brief, really quick. I think there's some people in the chat will know this too. So I think it was March 24th, 1984 is the day that the Breakfast Club supposedly happened. The movie, the John Hughes movie. I'm in a group. I asked the group just the honest question. Yo, how come there's no black people in the John Hughes films? And it was an honest question. And the vitriol that I received was hilarious to me. I think you know me. But also, we can't be afraid to ask each other questions. And my dope black thought is, as a dope black man and part of dope black thoughts, we should not be afraid to ask each other questions, and we shouldn't be afraid to give each other honest answers.
Solid.
Yeah.
And there are no black people in any of John Hughes' films.
Hey.
Prove me
He said,
wrong.
I said what I said.
Okay, prove me wrong. Show me one.
The receipts are out there.
Stefania?
Anybody else got it?
What's that?
Anybody else got a dope black thought?
Stefania?
No, I don't for today. I'm going to reserve mine because I'm really emotional right now, extremely emotional right now. And I know that
How are you doing?
a lot of people can't tell, but when those cameras go off, we're probably dabbing tears or screaming or, pulling our hair. So I'm going to reserve mine for right now. The revolution is being televised. We do have the receipts. We do know that we can call you out on it, and we're not going to be afraid anymore. We can't be afraid. We can't continue to live our lives in fear.
Yeah. You know what? I'm tired. And I know everyone says that. No. Our tired is different. Our tired
Really?
is tired of lived experiences that not others can experience. Our tired is hearing people saying, get over it. Our tired is just being tired of hearing, just get past it.
Yeah.
I was at the Aurora Theater that night when that happened.
Oh my.
I actually went to go see the movie. Shoot, it slips my mind.
Batman.
I went to go see the movie with Bear.
Dark Knight.
You're Batman.
The Bear. No,
the bear.
before Batman.
Oh, the bear. Okay.
Ted. I went to see the movie Ted.
Sure it wasn't Paddington Bear?
No, it was Ted. I went to see that. And after that movie, I came out and asked if there was any tickets available. And they said, yes, we have 2 theaters. So I was going to purchase some tickets, but there weren't many left because it was the opening of Dark Knight. I went there to see Ted, and then I was going to stay back. My family was out of town. And I was about to purchase tickets, and there were some folks that came in after me that wanted to see it. And at that time, I just said, here, take my tickets. So I gave my tickets. I stayed in the front. I chilled. I talked. And I thought, wow, this movie is wild. Then all of a sudden, you heard and saw the rush. And I ended up, like with everyone else, going out the front. And my car was actually parked in the back, right where I shall not say his name was apprehended. I couldn't get to my car for a while. I finally got to the car and I drove off, but I was answering phones because my wife and my kids knew I went to see a movie. And that was my favorite theater. That's the only place I saw movies. I don't go there. And I know that sounds bad. I want to support Aurora, but I end up going someplace else because of that tragedy. And some person said to me not too long after that, how can you represent these people? Well, that was different at that time. And that at that point in time, I said, I can't think about these people as I'm just trying to think about those who lost their lives. And that knowing that I could have been in one of those theaters, I could have been in that theater. And I wasn't, just surely by the grace of luck and God. So here's what I'm going to say. I own guns. I'm a gun owner, but I'm not a gun owner because I'm a super fanatic. I'm a gun owner because my house is my home, and my children and my wife mean everything to me. And if you want to come here and start that, well, I'm going to give it back. But I'm not out there carrying rifles and things of that nature. So I do believe in one's right to own guns, but I believe that, quite frankly, at the end of the day, if I was told I need to take a background check, here you go. If I was told I need to purchase insurance, absolutely. If I was told that if you had mental issues, you're gonna submit, yeah, I'm gonna submit to it, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be one of those folks who snaps and loses it. So I'm down for any and all common sense gun laws, and I don't want to hear that someone who's liberal can't be for common sense gun laws. That's nonsense. Simply put, that's my dope black thought.
Okay.
I'm tired. I'm just tired of being tired. I'm tired of reading about these things. I was in Pittsburgh at a football game, but before the football game, when that shooting in Pittsburgh happened, I was there, right downtown, when that occurred. So I see the damage, the physical damage, the emotional damage. I see all of that. I'm just tired of being tired. Something's got to happen. But here's my thing. If we can't come together and change things after Sandy Hook, forgive me if I'm not too confident that we're going to be able to change things now.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. With that, if there's nothing else, I'm going to just say peace, love, respect, and we out.
What is love? It's a drug. Let it rotate, then hit back in it. Calling me an Uber just to hit back in it. Hit the cash out like fate, I send it. Is it really worth the wait? I don't get it. If I didn't gravitate, taste that